Have you ever stopped to wonder what's silently happening inside your arteries right now? Imagine tiny, sticky layers of cholesterol and inflammatory cells slowly building up along the walls of your blood vessels, narrowing the space where your life-giving blood flows. This process, known as atherosclerosis, which simply means hardening of the arteries, can creep along for years without a single obvious symptom, until one day it shows itself in the form of a heart attack or a stroke. The good news is that for many people, this isn't an inevitable fate. There are ways to help your arteries heal and to improve blood flow naturally without resorting immediately to heavy medication or invasive surgery. In this video, I'll share practical, science-backed strategies to support your cardiovascular health, explain what's going on in your body in plain language, and show you how daily choices can make a remarkable difference. So stay with me because some of what you're about to hear will almost certainly surprise you. Welcome to Bravhealth, where we believe prevention is powerful medicine. If you care about keeping your heart strong for decades to come, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video so we can reach more people who need to hear this. Let's begin with a surprising fact. Not all cholesterol is your enemy. In fact, cholesterol is essential for building hormones, making vitamin D, and creating healthy cell membranes. The problem starts when low-density lipoprotein, or LDL, often nicknamed bad cholesterol, becomes oxidized. Oxidized LDL is basically cholesterol that's been damaged by free radicals, unstable molecules that cause cellular stress. When this happens, your immune system treats it like an intruder, sending white blood cells to engulf it. Unfortunately, these cells get stuck in the artery wall, creating what we call a plaque, a fatty, inflamed mound that narrows your arteries. So here's a question for you. Instead of just trying to lower cholesterol in a vague way, wouldn't it make more sense to protect it from oxidation in the first place? One of the best ways to do this is by eating foods rich in antioxidants, compounds that neutralize free radicals before they can damage your LDL. Think of brightly colored vegetables, berries, herbs like rosemary and oregano, and even dark chocolate with a high cocoa content. Can you imagine swapping one snack a day for a handful of blueberries or a square of 85% dark chocolate, and in doing so, helping to shield your arteries from microscopic injury? Now here's another one that might surprise you. Inflammation is the hidden driver behind much of artery damage, and yet many people still think of it only in terms of sore joints or swollen skin. In your arteries, chronic low-level inflammation keeps the repair process switched on all the time, leading to scar tissue and plaque growth. What's behind this hidden inflammation? Often it's our diet, particularly an excess of refined carbohydrates like white bread, pastries, and sweetened drinks, which cause repeated spikes in blood sugar. When your blood sugar rises sharply, your body releases insulin, the hormone that helps move sugar into your cells for energy. But frequent large spikes make your cells less responsive to insulin, a condition called insulin resistance. This resistance keeps sugar and insulin levels high in your bloodstream, both of which irritate the delicate lining of your arteries. The takeaway? Cutting down on refined carbs and replacing them with whole grains like oats, barley, and quinoa can calm inflammation and protect your artery walls. Have you noticed how much more energized you feel after a breakfast of oats and fruit compared to a sugary pastry? That's not just about steady energy. It's your arteries thanking you. But wait, this next one is even more interesting. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in oily fish such as salmon, mackerel, and sardines, are nature's own anti-clotting agents. They help your blood stay smooth-flowing and less sticky, reducing the likelihood of dangerous clots forming inside narrowed arteries. Omega-3s also lower triglycerides, a type of fat in your blood that, when elevated, can worsen plaque buildup. In addition, they reduce the production of inflammatory molecules called cytokines, which in simple terms are like the alarm bells of your immune system. Too many cytokines keep your arteries in a constant state of irritation. If you don't eat fish, you can still get omega-3s from flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts, though the form from plants ALA is converted less efficiently in the body than the form from fish, EPA and DHA. Have you considered adding 2 servings of oily fish to your weekly menu, or sprinkling ground flaxseed on your morning porridge? Small, steady changes like these can have remarkable cumulative effects over months and years. Now here's another piece of the puzzle you might not have heard before. One of the least discussed allies for your arteries is nitric oxide, a simple gas your body produces that acts like a natural artery relaxer. Nitric oxide signals the muscles around your blood vessels to relax, allowing them to widen and improve blood flow. It also prevents white blood cells and platelets from sticking to the vessel walls, both important for keeping them clear. How do you boost nitric oxide naturally? Leafy greens like spinach, rocket, also called arugula, and beetroot are packed with nitrates, not the artificial kind found in processed meats, but natural plant nitrates your body converts into nitric oxide. In one study, a single serving of beetroot juice improved blood vessel dilation within hours. Could adding a simple rocket salad to your lunch or a glass of beet juice to your day really make a difference? For your arteries, the answer is a resounding yes. But before we move to the next strategy, there's something else you need to know. If nitric oxide is like your artery's relaxation signal, then your endothelium, the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, is the messenger who delivers that signal. The endothelium is only one cell thick, but it's a marvel of biological engineering. It controls blood flow, regulates clotting, and even helps your immune system respond to threats. When it's healthy, your arteries are smooth and flexible, like a freshly cleaned pipe. When it's damaged, usually by high blood pressure, smoking, or inflammation, it becomes rough and sticky, a perfect place for plaque to cling. One fascinating way to support your endothelium is through foods rich in polyphenols, natural plant compounds found in things like pomegranates, green tea, and even extra virgin olive oil. Polyphenols help your endothelium produce more nitric oxide, improve blood vessel elasticity, and reduce oxidative stress. Have you ever thought about replacing your usual cooking oil with a cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil, not just for flavor, but as a daily tonic for your arteries? It's a small switch that can yield big rewards over time. And speaking of switches, most people know that smoking damages the lungs, but fewer realize that each puff of cigarette smoke sends thousands of free radicals into the bloodstream, instantly attacking the endothelium. The nicotine also constricts blood vessels, making it harder for oxygen-rich blood to reach your tissues. Even exposure to secondhand smoke can trigger these harmful effects. Quitting smoking is not just about reducing lung cancer risk, it's one of the fastest ways to improve arterial health. Within weeks of quitting, blood vessel function begins to improve, and nitric oxide levels start to normalize. If you've been thinking about quitting but feel overwhelmed, what if you treated it not as a single giant challenge, but as a series of small victories, each smoke-free day allowing your arteries a little more breathing room? But lifestyle changes aren't only about stopping harmful habits, they're also about embracing nourishing ones. Let's talk about fiber, specifically soluble fiber, the kind that dissolves in water to form a gel-like substance in your gut. This type of fiber binds to cholesterol in your digestive tract, helping to carry it out of your body before it can be absorbed into your bloodstream. Foods rich in soluble fiber include oats, beans, lentils, apples, and pears. Eating just 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber a day can lower LDL cholesterol by around 5%, according to several studies. That may not sound like much at first glance, but over months and years, even small drops in LDL can slow plaque growth or even allow for some reversal. Have you ever tried replacing white rice with lentils in a curry or adding a spoonful of chia seeds to your smoothie? These little tweaks add up in a big way when it comes to protecting your arteries. But now, let's explore something even more unexpected. Spices are not just flavor boosters. Some have remarkable artery protective properties. Take turmeric, for example, with its active compound curcumin. Curcumin is a potent anti-inflammatory agent capable of calming the chronic inflammation that drives plaque buildup. In laboratory studies, it's been shown to improve endothelial function and reduce oxidative stress. Even a pinch of black pepper, which contains piperine, can enhance curcumin absorption dramatically. Another is cinnamon, which may help lower blood sugar and triglycerides, both of which can damage arteries over time. Imagine transforming your morning porridge with cinnamon and a sprinkle of turmeric. You'd be turning breakfast into a daily dose of arterial medicine. Now, here's another fascinating insight. Your gut health has a direct line to your arteries. The trillions of bacteria in your digestive system, collectively called the gut microbiome, help process nutrients, regulate immunity, and even produce compounds that affect your heart. When your microbiome is out of balance, certain bacteria can produce trimethylamine N-oxide, or TMAO, from foods high in choline and carnitine, often found in red meat and eggs. High TMAO levels are linked with increased plaque buildup. The key is not necessarily cutting these foods completely, but maintaining a balanced gut environment by eating prebiotics, fibers that feed beneficial bacteria, and probiotics, the beneficial bacteria themselves. Fermented foods like kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and plain yogurt are excellent sources. Have you ever noticed that when your digestion feels good, your energy and mood improve too? That's your microbiome quietly influencing your whole body, including your cardiovascular system. But wait, the next tip isn't about food at all. We often focus so much on what we eat that we forget the equally important role of physical movement in artery health. But here's something you might not know. It's not just structured exercise like jogging or cycling that matters. It's also the tiny movements and postural changes you make all day long. Sitting for long periods without moving, even if you go to the gym later, can reduce the activity of enzymes that help break down fats in your blood. This can cause triglyceride levels to rise and HDL, the good cholesterol that helps sweep excess fat from your arteries, to fall. In other words, sitting is a kind of quiet saboteur for your vascular system. A simple remedy? Every 30 minutes, stand up, stretch, or walk for 2 minutes. Have you ever considered setting a gentle timer on your phone, not to nag you, but to quietly remind your arteries that you care? This subtle habit can have ripple effects you might not expect. Now here's another movement-related insight. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, may sound intimidating, but it doesn't have to mean exhausting yourself. HIIT simply means alternating short bursts of more intense activity with periods of recovery. Research shows HIIT can boost nitric oxide production, improve insulin sensitivity, and increase artery elasticity more effectively than steady, moderate exercise alone. For example, briskly walking uphill for 1 minute, then walking slowly for 2, and repeating this cycle for 20 minutes can be surprisingly effective. Could you turn your next stroll into a nitric oxide boosting workout just by adding a few brisk intervals? Your arteries might thank you for decades. And speaking of decades, the way you manage stress over the long term has a bigger impact than you might think. Chronic stress keeps your body's fight or flight response switched on, releasing adrenaline and cortisol. Cortisol, your main stress hormone, raises blood sugar, promotes inflammation, and can even make your blood more prone to clotting. Over time, this creates a perfect environment for plaques to grow. But here's the twist. Not all stress is harmful. Short bursts of challenge followed by recovery can actually strengthen your cardiovascular system. The danger comes when the challenge never lets up. One fascinating way to interrupt the stress cycle is through slow, controlled breathing. Deep breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, a key player in the rest and digest system, which lowers heart rate and reduces blood pressure. Imagine pausing for 5 minutes each day to simply breathe deeply, as though you're sending a calm, steady message directly to your arteries. You are safe. That's more than just relaxation, it's vascular therapy. But calming the mind isn't the only unexpected protector of arterial health. Vitamin K2 is one of the least discussed yet most intriguing nutrients for heart and artery health. While vitamin K1, found in leafy greens, is known for helping blood clot normally, vitamin K2 plays a different role. It directs calcium to the bones, where it's needed, and away from the arteries, where it can cause calcification. Artery calcification is like turning your once flexible blood vessels into rigid pipes, and that's not something we want. K2 is found in foods like natto, a fermented soybean dish from Japan, certain cheeses like Gouda and Brie, and to a lesser extent in egg yolks and chicken. Could adding a small portion of aged cheese to your diet now and then be more than just a treat, but actually a guard against artery hardening? The evidence says yes. Now, let's pivot to a mineral that's been quietly working behind the scenes. Magnesium is often called the relaxation mineral because it helps muscles, including the muscles in your blood vessel walls, stay relaxed. Adequate magnesium levels are linked to lower blood pressure, improved insulin sensitivity, and reduced arterial stiffness. Sadly, many people are mildly deficient without realizing it, thanks to modern diets low in magnesium-rich foods. Nuts, seeds, leafy greens, and whole grains are excellent sources. Even a warm bath with Epsom salts, which contain magnesium sulfate, can contribute a little to your body's stores. Have you noticed that your blood pressure readings are better after a holiday or a few days of clean eating? Magnesium might be quietly at work there. But before we wrap up this section, there's another key player in arterial health that's worth mentioning. Let's talk about sleep, but in a way that goes beyond the usual get more rest advice. Poor sleep quality doesn't just make you feel groggy, it can actually alter the way your arteries function. During deep sleep, your body repairs the endothelium and regulates blood pressure in a rhythmic pattern called nocturnal dipping, meaning your blood pressure naturally lowers at night. People who don't experience this dipping pattern, often due to insomnia or sleep apnea, are at greater risk of plaque buildup and stiffened arteries. Sleep apnea, where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep, causes repeated drops in blood oxygen, which stresses the cardiovascular system. Have you ever wondered why some people can eat reasonably well and still have heart problems? Sometimes it's not the diet, it's the chronic nightly stress on the arteries. A practical step? If you snore heavily or feel tired despite a full night's sleep, it's worth speaking to your doctor about a sleep study. And speaking of oxygen, fresh air and sunlight play a subtle yet important role in artery health. When sunlight hits your skin, it helps your body produce vitamin D, which has been linked to lower inflammation and better endothelial function. Low vitamin D levels are associated with higher rates of heart disease, possibly because of their impact on immune regulation and vascular health. Spending even 15 minutes outdoors on most days can help. And if you combine that with light physical movement, you're giving your arteries a double gift. Have you noticed how a short walk in the sun not only lifts your mood, but leaves you feeling physically lighter? That's your body responding to oxygenation, vitamin D synthesis, and gentle movement all at once. But the benefits of being outside aren't limited to sunshine. Exposure to green spaces, forests, parks, gardens, has been shown to lower blood pressure, calm stress hormones, and even improve heart rate variability, a measure of how adaptable your cardiovascular system is. The Japanese practice of Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, isn't about exercise. It's about slow, mindful time in nature, breathing in phytoncides, the natural plant compounds trees release. These compounds can reduce inflammation and boost immune function, which indirectly benefits the arteries. Can you imagine scheduling your cardio some days, not as a run, but as an unhurried stroll in a leafy park, letting your senses be the main workout? Sometimes the most healing medicine doesn't come in a bottle or a gym routine. It comes from the trees themselves. But now let's explore a different kind of nourishment. Fermented black garlic might sound like a gourmet novelty, but it's gaining attention for its cardiovascular benefits. Black garlic is simply fresh garlic that has been aged at a controlled temperature and humidity, turning its cloves soft, sweet, and black. This process increases its antioxidant content and makes its beneficial compounds more bioavailable. Garlic in general contains allicin, a compound known to reduce blood pressure and prevent platelet aggregation, meaning it helps prevent your blood from becoming too sticky and forming clots. Black garlic, however, adds an extra layer of protection by reducing oxidative stress in blood vessels. Have you ever tried a spoonful of black garlic puree spread on toast? It's surprisingly rich and almost like balsamic in flavor, a delicious way to sneak medicine into your meal. But garlic isn't the only kitchen ingredient pulling double duty. Dark berries like aronia, blackcurrants, and elderberries are powerhouses for arterial health thanks to their high levels of anthocyanins, plant pigments that give them their deep colors. These compounds help reduce oxidative damage to LDL cholesterol, improve endothelial function, and lower blood pressure. Some studies have even found that regular consumption of anthocyanin-rich foods can reduce arterial stiffness, a key marker of cardiovascular aging. Imagine replacing your dessert once a week with a bowl of mixed dark berries topped with a dollop of yogurt. Indulgent, yes, but also quietly working to keep your arteries young. And before we finish this section, there's one more connection worth making. We've talked a lot about foods, nutrients, and habits, but there's another fascinating factor in artery health: body temperature and circulation. Cold exposure, when done carefully, can stimulate blood vessels in a way that supports vascular resilience. When you briefly expose your body to cold, like a cool shower or a brisk winter walk, your blood vessels constrict, then widen again as you warm up. This vascular exercise improves the elasticity of your arteries over time, much like how physical exercise strengthens your muscles. Of course, it's not for everyone, and anyone with certain heart conditions should check with their doctor first. But for many people, alternating warm and cool water in the shower, ending on a cool note, can give the circulatory system a refreshing wake-up call. Have you ever stepped out of a cool shower and felt more alert, your skin tingling? That's your blood vessels responding to the challenge. And speaking of challenges, Your arteries also benefit from occasional metabolic flexibility, the ability of your body to switch between burning glucose and burning fat for fuel. Intermittent fasting, when practiced sensibly, can help improve insulin sensitivity, lower blood pressure, and reduce oxidative stress. Even a 12-hour overnight fast, such as finishing dinner by 7 p.m. and eating breakfast at 7 a.m., gives your body a chance to rest from constant digestion and focus on repair processes, including cleaning up damaged cells in the artery walls. This process, called autophagy, is like your body's housekeeping service for the cardiovascular system. Could shifting your eating window slightly be a gentle, sustainable way to give your arteries a break each night? The science suggests so, but fasting isn't the only non-food approach worth considering. Laughter, yes, genuine belly-shaking laughter, has been shown to improve blood flow by expanding the lining of the arteries. When you laugh, nitric oxide production increases and your stress hormones drop, creating an immediate measurable benefit for your cardiovascular system. This might sound too lighthearted to be serious health advice, but the effects are real and documented. Imagine if part of your heart health plan involved watching a comedy show or spending more time with friends who make you laugh until you cry. Could joy be one of the most underrated medicines for the arteries? I'd say it's worth prescribing. But while joy helps the mind, let's not forget the role of deep emotional well-being. Chronic loneliness has been linked to higher levels of inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, CRP, which is a signal of increased cardiovascular risk. Humans are wired for social connection, and when we feel isolated, our bodies often respond with low-grade stress that can damage the arteries over time. The antidote isn't necessarily having dozens of friends. It's cultivating meaningful connections. Joining a community group, volunteering, or even regular phone calls with family can nourish the heart in more ways than one. Have you ever noticed how a good conversation leaves you feeling physically lighter? That's the cardiovascular system relaxing along with the mind. And now, let's turn to one last fascinating dietary ally before we move towards wrapping things together. Coenzyme Q10, often shortened to CoQ10, is a nutrient your body naturally produces to help with energy production in cells, especially in the heart muscle. As we age, our natural levels decline, and certain medications like statins can lower them even further. CoQ10 also acts as an antioxidant, protecting LDL cholesterol from oxidation and helping improve endothelial function. It's found in small amounts in foods like organ meats, oily fish, and spinach, but many people choose to supplement, especially if they're on cholesterol-lowering medication. Could restoring this tiny but mighty molecule help your arteries age more gracefully? The evidence is promising, and it's another reminder that sometimes the most important health protectors are working quietly in the background. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to the Bravhealth channel so you don't miss future videos. Thank you, and see you next time.